Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for participating today in our March user meeting. We have a full agenda today. So what we're going to do today is we're going to first start with the product improvements and talk about them, look at our priorities, do just a quick overview of how we gathered information from the state assessments. And we're going to do some polling. So it's a little bit different from other meetings, but in order to sort of narrow things down and move through the process, we put together some polls. So hopefully they work okay. We'll see. Then we're going to move on to our support summary and talk about training, a little training update. We always give you guys the upcoming schedule. Then Tom is going to update us on some onboarding of states. And then just a quick little touch on the national data report. So we will go ahead and get moving on. And please feel free to unmute if you have a question, if you have a comment. And I will also keep an eye on the chat. All right, so we're moving on to product improvements, and I wanted to give a special shout out and a thank you to all the states who did participate in those product improvement state assessments, all of those summaries that you took time to complete. So thank you, thank you. That feedback was so critical in being able to narrow down our focus for today. So again, I know you all are very busy and really appreciate the time that you all took. Also wanted to say thank you to Tetris for ongoing keeping track of all of those requests for product improvements. That's a huge task, and they, keep it organized so well, and it's really wonderful. So thank you to our Tetris team. Okay, so here's what we're thinking. For our initial focus, we would like to propose focusing in on starting with integrating those state data reports that you all have been working on, your state data, and then being able to compare it to the national data. So we would like to start with putting some of those reports into NEICE so that you would be able to pull those, when you want to look at them. I don't know what that would look like yet. We just started kind of that conversation. And so we don't really have any ideas about what it would look like yet, but we wanted to get your input on if that focus is something that you feel would be valuable. So I am going to run a poll. So let me get that launched for you. And it's a really simple one question. Just asks you if you are okay with that being sort of our initial focus. So if you would please, first, let me know if you don't see the poll come up. And you do have to hit submit at the bottom. I see lots of you are getting it. So I'll share it as soon as we get a good number in there. Give you about 5 more seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, had a couple more coming in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. We have pretty good results in there. And I'll share those. You should be able to see It looks like for the most part, folks are in support of using the data reports. I would like to ask, is any comments or any thoughts, feedback on that?
This is Naisha
Yeah.
from Georgia.
Hi, Naisha.
Hello. I'm not normally on these meetings. It's normally Margaretta, but she's not on from Georgia. But I definitely think that this is beneficial to have. But I also feel like as far as reports, I don't think it should be the priority because
Okay.
the reports are good, but it doesn't necessarily. I know for me in Georgia, drill down enough for me to see what I need without having to go in and do more research or check in each case individually. I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely like the option for states to be able to drill down the reports to their needs. An example
Okay.
would be by county and state. If
Yep.
I wanted to pull my pending cases, I just feel like that's more of a priority for my immediate need and my everyday work. The
Thank
national
you.
reports, we look at those, but again, it's not a part of our everyday work. So just my opinion, but I'm willing
No,
to
love it. Love it. Love it.
lean towards the majority.
Okay. Thanks so much. And Wendy wants better reports always. But staff who process cases in NEICE would definitely need other enhancements of day-to-day work. Okay.
This is Carrie from Wisconsin, and I kind of had similar thoughts as Naisha that, so I put undecided because I felt like I needed more information. Like, are we prioritizing that above some of the product improvements? That's where I would rather see the focus on some of those things.
Okay.
And again, yes, reports are important and I'd like to see them, but I don't know that I want to put it higher than some of the other things.
Okay. That is actually a great comment because what we will be doing today is looking at the product improvements that were on that top priority list, and you guys will be giving feedback for each one of them as to whether or not you feel it's critical to go along with potentially the data reports. Again, we don't know what all that will look like. We still have to analyze kind of budget and all of workload and those kinds of things. But this polling today will be very helpful for us to sort of take that list that I sent out and really look to see and get you guys' feedback on what you really, really think is critical. So we do want to still consider potentially some of those other product improvements. And again, I don't think that product improvement list ever goes away. So it just kind of, continues unless it gets resolved or added into another product improvement or something. So we sort of always have that list because we had some still from NEICE 1.0. So, and Susmita, you guys can jump in if you have any other feedback on that. Okay, I can't see you guys anymore. So all I can see is the PowerPoint. Okay, any other ideas or thoughts? And if you want to just put it in the chat, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay, so I sort of kind of touched on this, is that we are going to be using some polling. We're going to do a quick review of the survey and the analysis process, how we got to this top priority list. And then we're going to use the list to do polling to identify those critical improvements. So it's really a quick poll just asking, is this critical? Do we need it right now? Or could it wait? So pretty simple. And then again, like I said, we'll take that feedback and start looking at what the plan will be for next steps. And if we need to gather requirements on any of those product improvements, so more specifics about what would it look like, would it be a drop down, you know, those kinds of things for the Tetris team to be able to start building. So Tom, Susmita, anybody? I don't know if Raghu is on. Do you guys have anything to add about sort of the next steps?
I think you covered pretty much, Linnea. So maybe we can move ahead and go into the product improvements list. And if they have any questions or we have any questions, we can discuss as a team.
Thanks. Great. Thank you. Yeah, Susmita, jump in anytime.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks. All right. So we're just going to do a quick little overview of how we got to that list. And again, I already said that Tetris tracks all of the suggestions made for product improvements. Initially, we had a list of 62, and then we added 4 more, but we took the 66 and we categorized them sort of like, you know, commonalities. So if it was about the dashboard, if it was about reports or those kinds of transmittals, as you can see, there were several with transmittals. So here's how they kind of fell into the categories, and you see the total of 66 there. Any questions about that before I move on? I hate to, you guys jump in and interrupt me if you have a question or anything. Okay, so then we took those categories and put them into the Microsoft form to develop those state assessments. We ended up with 7 separate ones. And the reason I did that, just for those of you who maybe weren't involved in that initial part of the process, was I hated to put all 66 into one survey because you would have had to have done it like in one sitting. With Microsoft Forms, there was really no way, you can't save it and come back to it later. And we looked at some different platforms, and it just really seemed to work to be able to share and that kind of thing that way. So that's sort of how we landed in the way that we did it. We did create another assessment. We went through and we identified some of the improvements that might also impact the clearinghouse states. And in a meeting with those states, they were sort of wanting to know what was going on and what was happening with the process. And so we created a separate assessment for them to complete and sent that out for them. And then, so this is just really quickly on the 3 areas that were part of the assessment. It's the impact, you know, will it have a large impact on a lot of users across all the states, scoring 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. How important the request is to the mission of the ICPC, with same scoring 1 to 10, with 10 being the most important. And then we had folks rate each of the product improvements as to whether it was a priority for their state, a high priority to not feeling that it was needed at all. So that's sort of what the assessment looked like. And then from there, Microsoft Forms provides reports, and it gives you numbers and percentages for each of those areas: the impact, the mission, and the priority rating. And so you got a percentage on the rating, and then we just gave that a number. So if it was low, it got a 1. If it was medium, it got a 2. And if it was high, it got a 3. And then we just added all those numbers together in the Excel spreadsheet, and had the formula calculate a number. So that was sort of the score for that product improvement. So it included, you know, all of the feedback in all of the 3 areas to get that score. So then we sorted that score column highest to lowest to pull out the top 20. And then we did an initial or another little filtering because kind of wanted to know, what were those product improvements that everyone felt were high priority in the assessments. And so we pulled out all of the ones that scored a 3 in the priority rating. And all of that is in the spreadsheet that I sent out. Some of you may not have had a chance to look at that spreadsheet yet, but you can see that we did filter all those out. There were 13 that scored a 3 that were highest priority for folks. 10 of those, interestingly enough, were already in the top 20. So we just added the 3 remaining. And then Tetris provided 7 priority improvements that they felt would have the greatest impact for NEICE users. And so they have that unique ability to sort of have information, about tickets and, the history and all of that kind of stuff. And so they provided those. 5 were already in the top 20, and then there was 2 that we added. So that's sort of how we got to that list of 25. Do you guys have any questions about the process? All right. So now we're going to move on to the polling. And really what I have is essentially that list that I sent out of the top 25. And I will open up polls, and it's really going to ask you for each one. I have about 5 on each PowerPoint slide, 5 of the product improvements. So we're going to go 1 to 5, 6 to 10, on down the road, and get through all of them. So I have, I think, 4 or 5 polls. And so on each of the screens, you'll have the summary of what I sent out, and you'll just rate whether or not you feel it's critical. Like, we need it now, it's really important, I want this one, or a low priority that this can wait a little bit. It doesn't have to be done right away. Does that make sense to everybody? Let me show you what the screen's going to look like, because we don't have to open up the poll yet, but it's essentially exactly what I sent out to you all. And again, the red font, the ones that have red font over here, were ones that states rated as a priority in the assessments. And the order is the order of the overall score. So there was one that got a score of 20. So it's our first one, but it wasn't one that was a priority rated by states. And these N's over here are the number of responses that we got for each of the questions on the assessments. Does that all make sense? Do you guys have any questions before I open up a poll? All right, we'll get started. It'll take me just a second here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and launch the first one. And I'll go ahead and go through them, but you guys can read ahead and start scoring if you want to. And we'll kind of see how this works. I mean, I hate to read it all to you, but I'll kind of try to summarize. I've looked at it a couple of times, so I feel like I kind of have an idea, and then Susmita, you can jump in, or anybody else can jump in too. But the first one is having a visual display of the delivery status on the communications or transmittal page. And these numbers over here are the numbers that Tetris uses to keep track of each one of them. And so I just use the same numbers. It's really helpful. So that's what you see on your polling is just the number, and then you'll rate it, whether it's critical or if it can wait. The next one is having the ability to search placement resource by first name and last name separately. And then number 3 is sort of a situation where NEICE should have the ability to add another child to the case and be able to update the received date. So if you've already done an assessment on a child and they have a sibling that's going to be going to the same home, just being able to add that sibling and update. And then the system shall have the ability to list the cases associated with a placement resource. And then system shall have the ability to identify a duplicate person or case. And then if there is a duplicate, to be able to merge those cases together into a single case. So I will give it a minute or two for you guys to score on the poll. And if anyone has any questions, jump in.
I don't think we've received the poll yet.
There are 12 people that have responded, Charles, and I don't know.
Screen, Charles. It may be behind your current image on your screen, but it's a pop-up window that should be right on your screen.
I don't know how to send it to an individual.
It might be hidden behind something, Charles.
Thanks, Tom. I'll give you one more minute. Thanks, Wendy. That's a great tip. She said her chat screen was hiding the poll, but once she closed the chat, she could see the poll. And if you all are like me, I have lots of things open and it covers things, and sometimes you have to look.
There's also at the bottom of the screen between participants and chat, there's a poll that you can, it says polls, and you can touch that and it'll pop up.
Oh,
And
thanks, Bertha.
you can have both your screen of description and your poll open at the same time.
Wonderful. I've used polling just a little bit. I'm not an expert on it, so I appreciate the feedback or the sharing of knowledge. Okay, I'm going to close it in 10 seconds. All right. Do y'all want me to share the results, or do you want to wait and see? We can put it all together at the very end. Not here, but like send it out later, or do you want to see it now?
I see it now so that we can get a reference for how things are coming.
Got it. Yep.
Okay.
Here it comes. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. These are, these were the top ones on the list. And so like, yeah, everybody's feeling like these top ones were maybe consistent with the ones that you feel that are critical. So thank you guys so much. I hope this is working okay. Does everybody see enough, or do you need longer to look at it?
Looks good to me. And this is good stuff. I like it. Thank you.
Oh, good, good. And I'll, I think I can get, like back into this after the meeting. And so I'll put it all together for you guys and send it out as well. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. And I will go ahead and open the next poll. I think I have to close that one out first. Maybe not. Okay. I have sent the second one out, so hopefully you guys can see it. Let me know if you can't. Okay, so 6 through 10, system shall be able to identify a conversion case, check if there's any other active cases for the same child. Currently, the reconsideration request is not handled in the clearinghouse states, and so states have to create a new case, reference the old case number in the notes section. They want to have the ability to submit a request for a reconsideration of a denied home study. And they want a urgent identifier for transmittals. And being able to send the 100A and 100B together for non-Reg 1 cases. And number 10, looks like there's 4 things on number 10. Having the ability to generate a report stemming from the case status field. And then, oh, it's just a little bit more about that. So ideally, it would report Reg 7, 12, after 1 or 2 days. So I think this is like a notification or something, so that it would send a notification or somehow a report or something when the case status hasn't changed from receiving to active after a certain number of days. Sorry, that one was a big one, but it gave you guys time to score it.
Those would be business days. So if you sent something on a Friday and it didn't get open until Monday, you'd still be within your 2 days leeway. So Monday afternoon would be good enough. Some of these regulations are business days and some are calendar days. So we'd have to make sure we had appropriate counters.
Give you 1 more minute on the poll. Okay, about 10 more seconds. Anybody else that wants to shoot one in? Okay, I'll share. See if you guys can. Some of these are sort of evening out a little bit, a couple of them. But still, most of them are critical. All right, move on. Just, I think 2 more screens, guys. You're doing great. Hang in there with me. Find the next one. Here comes the next poll. And so the first one is about auto-populating some of the planning financial responsibility, I think from the child information to the 100A. And then having the ability to add due date notifications on other regulation types, and being able to turn off the red color once a placement decision has been entered. And to have the ability to choose certain transmittals of non-Reg 7 cases so they can be displayed in red until the placement decision has been entered. So that number 12 sort of has 3 different suggestions. 13, which is 2824. Displaying the county name along with the state in the case banner for decentralized states. That would be helpful for them. And then when a case is made active, the system shall prompt the user to enter any missing mandatory information in the case. And then on the notifications page, user should be able to select 1 or more notifications, forward it to another user with the same role in the same agency. So give you guys a couple minutes to score those in the poll. So 1 more minute. All right, 5 more seconds. And I'll go ahead and share. This is actually pretty interesting. You guys are doing great. Okay. Last one. Then we move on. Oh, you know what? 2 more. I am so sorry. I think. Hold on. Yep. 2 more. Y'all are doing great though. Hang in there with me. Make sure I have the wrong one. Yep. Okay. Here it comes. Comes the poll, and then here is this product improvements that the system should have the ability to indicate via email if the message is of high importance. So it's like when you get the email, you know how like in Outlook or whatever email system you guys have, it like gives a red exclamation point if the sender sent it with high importance. It's something like that NEICE would be able to send emails like that. Having a feature that shows the last name of the child when you utilize the dashboard. And then 19 is about stopping the clock when the safe and timely transmittal is being sent. Or if it's not going to stop the clock, remove that document type. And that is one that I know that the executive committee, the AAICPC, is discussing. So we may get some feedback from them as well on that one. And then the last one on this one is displaying home study approval date on the home study decision page under children in case. So the date field would be automatically populated. I'll give you another minute on the poll. About 10 more seconds. Okay, and this one and share it. This one's interesting. Those bars are getting closer together. Okay. This one is the last one. This one is the one that has the additional ones that were identified in the top priorities and by Tetris. So there were 5 total of those. And Zoom doesn't make it real easy to, there we go. Here comes the poll.
Number 58, just for clarification purposes, when a user is deleted, all assigned cases to the user should be removed. There's missing words like remove from that user. And what you want to do is you make sure that you delete the user after you've reassigned the cases, because once you delete that user, it'll be difficult to track the cases assigned to that user. So that's just a practice you can implement today. If you're an assignment coordinator, you want to assign the cases to your appropriate staff in the peer group before you delete that user. Thanks.
Hey, Tom, this is Charles. That's a good explanation, but I've got to just say, this is far too complicated. The system really needs to be simpler.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, and that's the whole purpose for going through these product improvements, is to come up with those ideas that would make it simpler, and everyone sort of come to some consensus on which ones you want to focus on. So that's why it's so important that we have these meetings and get you guys' feedback. Oh, I haven't gone through these really. Sorry. You guys have probably already read through them, but the first one is having a category for extended foster care, and not every state has extended foster care. You guys know this. And then an all option should be available in the notification screen so that you can select all wherever that might make sense in dropdowns. And displaying both the messages and transmittals under the same tab. Like right now, you have to toggle back and forth between the tabs. And if a case has been created by the local caseworker, the ability to convert or clone the case should be given to the caseworkers along with the ICP's coordinators. So the caseworkers are wanting to be able to convert or clone. And then Tom explained the last one. It looks like you guys are about all done. I'll give you just about 30 more seconds. And again, thank you all so much for your patience in doing this. I tried to make it as easy as possible. And I don't know if I succeeded, but this is really kind of a cool way to get feedback. And it's in a way that we can keep it and use it later as well, not having to scramble taking notes. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time. Okay, I'm going to end this one and share the results on this one. So it is so interesting how, like, the beginning we were all critical, and now the bars have shifted, that these here towards the end are lower priority. So it's sort of consistent with how the state assessment results came out. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, but again, like I said, I will find a way to put all of those results together in notes some way and share that with you all so that you all have that if you want to look back at it later, use it later with conversations or something. Okay, we are done with that part of our agenda. Any last comments on the product? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, before we
No,
move, I think Yaz had the question.
Okay.
She said, can the last one be explained a bit? I can just
do you want me to go back? I'll go back.
Yaz.
There we go.
Okay. So Yaz, what we are recommending is when the users are being deleted in the system because they are existing users, they might have worked on few cases. So there are some assigned cases for the users. So before we delete the users, maybe we can reassign the cases to the existing users and delete the users. So we were just trying to explain on how that can be done today. Before you delete, move the assigned cases to the existing users and delete the users. Did that help, Yaz? Or do you have any questions there? Yep, I think we are good, Lenny. I can move ahead.
Great. Thanks for catching that, Susmeet. I appreciate it. Anything else? Okay. Just going to do a real quick upcoming training schedule.
Linnea,
and
before you
Yes?
jump into the training, I'm sorry, I'm trying
Nope.
to get off mute. There's a couple of items on the list that have to do with placement resource. And that there's an area on the screen for managed placement resources. I think people should look at that. It probably should be emphasized in the training. It has not been emphasized. It's been mentioned, but it's not been emphasized. And the second thing is there was a request for right there on the number 2. It says search for placement resource by first name and last name separately. It's actually an existing function using the search area in the menu bar on your dashboard, where you can enter a search parameter. I'd like you folks to try it when they get a chance. They can search on a first name and it'll come back with the matching first names. Then when you enter the descriptors, you can sort by the basic rating of a assignment of placement resource, and you can see all the placement resources with the matching first name. And it also works similarly with last name. If you put Thomas first for the first name, it doesn't matter, because that search begins with or it contains. So you can get either first or the last name, depending upon what you put in, and get all the matching names. And then you enable the filters and filter it on the reference to placement resources. So that's a doable do now, just takes a few steps.
Tom,
Urge people to try it.
so I was looking at number 2, and I think it said it would also be helpful if you could put, if it's a couple, the 2 firsts and 2 lasts. Are you able to do that now?
No.
I've never tried it. Okay.
No, when you create a placement resource, you can create a caregiver or a member of the household. So that's how you can designate which role that second person plays.
Okay. I just, as you were talking, Tom, I was wondering if and would like some feedback from folks. Would it be helpful to have a job aid on how to search for placement resources? Yes, no, not sure. Okay. Well, we could, Tom, what do you think? Some people don't think it's needed. Some people do. Tom, are you on mute?
Of course, I was singing in the national anthem and making tea at the same time. So the answer is yes. We'll get a job aid out to include in the knowledge base for the application. That'll be coming up.
Great, thank you.
Also, Linnea, for displaying the 2 first names and last names on the 100A form, I don't think there is like two rows or anywhere as a placeholder to display two placement resources names on the form. There's only one place where you can display the name, and there are 2 SSN numbers that gets displayed. But I'm not sure. We can just check back and see if we can do that. But I mean,
okay,
in the 100-day form, we don't have a placeholder for that.
Okay. All right. Good conversation. All right. Anything else as I get to the next part? All right. Upcoming trainings in April. April 13th is the ICPC coordinator training. And then April 20th is the caseworker training. And our next assignment coordinator training is in May, on May 25th. Those are all, the times are all here, and they're all listed on the training schedule in the knowledge base. There's a link to it. If anybody needs the link, I can also shoot it out to you guys. I hope you guys are all familiar with the knowledge base, but we always keep that all up to date. And as now as classes are happening and we have the recordings, we are replacing the registration link with the recording and on that schedule too. So folks can access those recordings to the trainings in a couple of different ways. But if they miss a class that they wanted to attend, they can access it there. And just a little bit of data on what we've done so far in training this year from January to March. Trained a total of 107 ICPC staff. And these are kind of the dates and the class sizes. And just by role, we've trained, it's kind of cool just for me to see, trained 80 caseworkers and 25 coordinators and 2 assignment coordinators. So we're looking at different ways to kind of provide you guys some data on the training. And if anybody has a suggestion or something that you would like to see, just shoot me an email. All right, Tom, we are to, yes.
One of the things that am I on mute again? I'm off mute this time. Okay, just want to thank the people for encouraging their new members, because we know the turnover has been terrific. And encouraging new members to attend the training, do the e-learning. It's really essential. I've noticed a correlation between people who I've heard from and come to the training and the ability to be successful. So thank you, your leadership people on this call today, by imploring your folks to get trained and get ready to go, because the job is a big job, and this is another tool to help them meet the challenges of the big job. But now I can start talking about onboarding.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're very, very excited.
Whoops, Tom, I lost your slide. Where'd it go?
I can talk over. You don't need to visualize. We've got
there was only like 4 states on there.
Right. I'll give you the 4 states, and I'll tell you that we're having 11 states in progress. 11 states either moving onboarding as NCH or upgrading from CMS to NCH, and they're all moving successfully. We've got good news from Tennessee. We've got an ongoing technical discussion already established. We've had calls. They've asked for information. We've provided the information, and they're able to make progress, which is very important, because if you're a grantee state, that grant expires by 9/30. That was Texas. No, that was Tennessee. We've also established an excellent rapport with Texas. They have a quality team. We recognize that they're our peers. We're sharing information on a daily basis, basically. We've trained the people in Texas to create MCMS cases to send to their test database. So they're really actively pursuing that. California is, just a brief, California is coming on with a new cohort of 7 counties on April 11th. So be on the lookout for an updated list of counties in California that are active in NEICE. I'll just name them here and you can commit them to memory. Amador, Butte, Marin, Merced, Mendocino, Riverside, and San Mateo will all be joining on the 11th. And what they're doing is they're taking the e-learning, they're practicing in the test, and they're really getting ready to rock and roll and create cases in these. Another good thing that is happening is we know we've had Missouri drop off line for a while to make decisions that are critical to their implementation of the NEICE environment, and they've made successes so far, and they've announced that they're ready to resume, they're getting ready to resume full participation in NEICE. So we as a family of 39 active states and 11 states our communities on the roll, we are really glad to see them coming back into the fold. So that's exciting. And I think if you have any questions about any specific states, let us know and we'll give you the answers right now or via email if you need to know. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Carrie. You mentioned some states are changing from CMS to MCMS. Can you tell me which states?
Maryland is in the process. Alabama is in the process. Louisiana is in the process. We heard from Michigan to start off there. We had a benefits call with them and they're going to go to NCH most likely. Then we have Oregon agreed to move forward too for the first time. So we're very excited. And yes, Charles.
Yeah, Maryland is trying to get to the NCH maybe in September, not MCMS.
Right, because you are CMS now, and you're going to go directly to NCH, right?
Thanks. Thanks, Charles.
You're right. And does anybody have any questions on any other states other than Carrie? Okay, well, thank you very much. But this is very good because we're able to share information. We know that Ohio has helped us share information and other states have shared with the newbies. And it's very helpful because you have invested your energy and learned lessons. These lessons learned can be shared, which is very beneficial to the onboarding state. So they thank you and I thank you as well. We all thank you. The entire NEICE team thanks you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, and thank you to all of the sorry, I'm trying to get the PowerPoint back up. There we go. All right, now let me get it. Hopefully this works. There we go, sorry. Okay, just a couple more. So the National Data Report, we're working on the 2021 data and that should be coming out very, very soon. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know if Max was able to join us today. I don't have my list of participants, but if you have any questions, I can share them with Max and Marcy and we can get answers out to folks on the data reports. All right, doesn't seem like there's any questions. Well, that is all I have. Does anyone have anything else? I just want to say thanks for all of your patience in doing the polling and participating in all of the discussion about the product improvements. And just open it up and see if anybody has any other items that you want to talk about or questions. Anybody have any questions you need answered? Assistance with anything? Want to ask your partner states how they do things? Everybody's tired. I certainly understand that. Okay, well, thank you again, and hope you guys all have a great month, and we will see you again next month.
Thank you, Linnea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.